Hi, I'm Brian Russell, and this is Walking and Talking Spirituality. Thanks for taking a walk with me. I know a lot of people don't listen to AM/FM radio anymore, but I'm guessing everybody has at some point. And I want you to kind of recall the days when you had to dial in the station that you wanted to listen to. Because if you didn't get it dialed in right, you'd hear static or you'd lose the signal. Same thing with TVs when you used to have antennas. You'd get fuzzy stuff and you'd have to move the antennas around. And sometimes our lives can feel that. You kind of got a sense of the channel or the direction you're supposed to be living, but you hear a lot of static. And I know in my life, as I've sought to walk the path and live as the person that I sense God was calling me to become, I can look back and just see that in many ways, my growth and my ability to actually dial in to the right channel was caused by great questions. I'll just give a couple of them. When I was a teenager, I had a pretty dramatic conversion and got really active in church and youth group, and my pastor at the time, Rev Paul George, he's deceased now, but I remember one time he asked me when I was about 18 years old, have you ever considered going into the ministry? You know, up to that time I never had considered going into the ministry, but that was obviously a life-changing conversation. I remember when I started early in my career teaching at Asbury. This would have been, I think, January 2005, so I'm in my fifth year of teaching at the time, and had the privilege of meeting Alex McManus, who ended up being a mentor for me on kind of missional thinking. And we met at a Barnes & Nobles in Orlando when he happened to be in town. And so funny, I guess he was being provocative looking back, but the very first thing he said to me was, Brian, what business do you have teaching biblical studies at a seminary if you've never planted a church? Again, that was a life-changing question for me. I had engaged and was engaging that whole conversation at the time, but I still lacked skin in the game. And again, those who know the story I've talked about my church plan, it both went really well, and then it also ultimately didn't go really well, but I learned a whole bunch, but we did it. So if you look at your life, what questions have shaped you? And by the way, I can go on and on. I made a whole list this weekend of questions that have changed me. Who in your life do you have right now that asks you really good questions to help make sure you're tuned in to the channel that allows you to walk the path that God's called you to?